Welcome to the second part of the topic 5, and this part we're going to discuss about data warehouse and data mining. I told you in the previous slide, I hope that you have your advanced reading about these two topics, and we are going to discuss it here in this slides. Let's define the data warehouse. When we say data warehouse, it stores data that have extracted from various operational, external, and other databases of our organization. So there are software available that will do this. And one of the best example software that I can tell you is known as WEKA, spelling W-E-K-A, WEKA. So in a data warehouse, it is a central source of the data that have been cleaned, transformed, and cataloged or classified so that they can be used by managers and other business professionals for data mining. And I hope this time you have learned the definition of what is data mining and online analytical processing and other forms of business analysis, market research, and decision support. Take note of this, data warehouses may be divided or subdivided into data marts. So what are these data marts? It's part of the data warehouse that would hold subsets of data from the warehouse that focus on specific aspects of a company, such as a department or a business process. That's the data are then stored in an enterprise data warehouse from which they can be moved into marts or do an analytical data store that holds data in a more useful form of certain types of analysis. And then there's a term metadata, a data that defines the data in a data warehouse. Okay, they are stored, or the metadata are stored in a metadata repository and cataloged by what we call the metadata directory. And what will happen finally, a variety of analytical software tools can be provided to query, report, mine, and analyze the data for delivery by internet and intranet web systems to business end users. So we have here one important characteristics about the data warehouse is that unlike a typical database in which changes can occur constantly, take note of this, data in a data warehouse are static, cannot be changed. It will not be, when I say dynamic, keep on changing, but the data here are static, captured, which means that once the data are gathered up, formatted for storage, and stored in the data warehouse, they will never be changed. Okay, take note of that characteristic of a data warehouse. Now I told you about data mining. It is a major use of data warehouse databases and the static data they contain. So what does it mean? In data mining, the data in the data warehouse are analyzed to reveal hidden patterns. So it will create patterns, trends based on the historical business activity. So this analysis can be used to help managers make decisions about strategic changes in business operations to gain competitive advantage or advantages in the marketplace. So this is the importance of data mining. Take note, it can discover new correlations, patterns, and trends in various amounts of business data. So a huge data that you can create decisions for the managers. And data mining software uses advanced pattern recognition algorithms. That's what I've told you, just like the WEKA, as well as a variety of mathematical and statistical techniques are available to examine through that vast amount of data that has been extracted. So for example, many companies use data mining to perform market basket analysis. Okay, take note of this. Kindly search in the internet and what is this market basket analysis to identify the new products or packages. And these terms are used for e-commerce. And find root causes of quality or manufacturing problems, prevent customer erosion and acquire new customers. For example, you know the pattern of the customers, what they like and what they don't like. So business people will be able to see what are the wants and needs of the customers. So cross-sell to existing customers, profile customers with more accuracy. So let's define this database management system, or DBMS. It is the main software tool of the database management approach because it controls the creation, maintenance, and the use of database of an organization and its end users. Again, I will not focus more on this because you have a separate unit, database management, that will discuss all of these things in the one session. I just have a brief introduction, and at least you will be learning more in 15 week of that or 15 topics of that particular unit, database management. So for the sake of our discussion, I just want to go to the basic information about DBMS, which serves as a software interface between users and databases, which help users easily access the data in the database. So in that unit, you will learn about MySQL, one of the softwares being used in database management. And we have here common database software components. Take note of the components. The first one, we have database definition. When I say database definition, it is the language and graphical tools to define entities, relationships, integrity constraints, and authorization rights. I will not define what are entities and relationships and the other more. It will be in that unit, database management. The next common, we have components. We have non-procedural access. It is the language and graphical tools to access data without complicated coding. Okay, you will, just like a SQL, okay, query language. Okay, we have application development. It refers to the graphical tools to develop menus, data entry forms, and reports. And we have here procedural language interface. It refers to the language that combines non-procedural access with full capabilities of a programming language. And we have transaction processing. It is the control mechanism to prevent interference or intervention from simultaneous users and recover lost data after a failure. So that will be handled by transaction processing. And we have here database tuning. It refers to the tools to monitor and improve database performance. So take note of these common software components. We have here the three major functions of the database or management system, or DBMS. First one, to create new databases and database applications. Second, to maintain the quality of the data in an organization's database. And the third function, to use the databases of an organization to provide the information that its end users need. Next, we have database developments. It involves defining and organizing the content, relationships, and structure of the data needed to build a database. Next term, we have here database application development. It involves using a DBMS to develop prototypes of queries, forms, reports, and web pages for a proposed business application. Next, we have here a term database maintenance. It involves using transaction processing systems and other tools to add, delete, update, and correct the data in a database. So the primary or main use of database by end users involves employing the database interrogation capabilities of the DBMS to access the data in a database to selectively retrieve and display information and produce reports, forms, and other documents. So we have here also database interrogation capability is a major benefit of database management approach. End users can use a DBMS by asking for information from a database using query feature or a report generator. So take note of the term query language, and you will encounter in that unit DBMS SQL. So the feature here lets the users easily obtain immediate response to that ad hoc data request. Okay. Next, we have report generator. It will allow the users to specify a report format for information wanted by the user to be presented as a report. And other software, they have what we call crystal report. So SQL or others pronounced as SQL or a structured query language is an international standard language found in many DBMS packages. So we have here the structure of the SQL select from where. So what is the select command? It will list the data fields to be retrieved from what file or table that you're going to retrieve the data, and where specify conditions that limit the value, for example, where male or gender is equals to female or male, for just like an example of that. And it will generate those fields or the value. The database maintenance process is accomplished by what we call transaction processing systems and other end-user applications with the support of DMS. Stated here, end users and information specialists can also employ various utilities provided by a DBMS for database maintenance. Again, the database of an organization need to be updated continually to reflect new business transactions. Examples, we have sales made, products produced, inventory shipped, and other events. Stated here, again, in addition, the DBMS package can play a major role in application development. So end users, system analysts, and other application developers can use the internal fourth generation programming language and built-in software development tools provided by many DBMS packages to develop custom application programs. So the database or DBMS, just like MS Access, MySQL, SQL, and you can link them to the fourth generation programming languages where you can store the data. So DBMS makes the jobs of application software developers easier because you're going to store the data there, because they do not have to develop a detailed data handling procedures using conventional programming languages. So every time they write a program, so there's a link already from 4GL to the database. So they can include features such as data manipulation language or DML statements in their software that can call into the DBMS to perform necessary data handling activities. That ends our topic 5. And if you have doubts or things that need to be cleared, just send an email. Thank you very much and have a nice day.